What's up, guys? So I'm back again with you guys. I decided let's do another TV show. Today this TV show holds a dear place in my heart. It was one of those shows where when you watch it, you just need to see the next episode. It just got you hooked. It was before you could binge watch TV shows. You had to wait till the next week to see what happens. You had to wait 9 months in between each season. No, it's not Stranger Things. No, it's not The Walking Dead. No, it's not Breaking Bad. Although those are really good shows. This show, of course, is... That's right, guys. Lost. You remember that show? Well, it originally aired back in September 22nd, 2004. I was in 2nd grade at the time, and yes, I did watch the show while I was in 2nd grade. And you know, it was such a good show. This show had you guessing, had you wanting more and more. Each episode ended, you had to know what was going to happen next. J.J. Abrams produced the show mainly. He directed the pilot, and he came back and directed a few episodes later on in the series, but after that it was mainly handed off to Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. When it first came out, it was a mystery. What is this show about? You know, from what we could guess, it was about a bunch of strangers who end up on an island. And that's all we really got. Now, I do want to let you know there will be spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen Lost, or you're like right dab in the middle of the series, Jax, come here. I just had to bring him in real quick. Alright, if you haven't seen the show, if you're right dab smack into the middle of the show, stop, don't watch this video. Go watch the show, give it a try, and then come back and watch this later. Jax! Stop. But when the show did air on September 22nd, 2004, I just don't think what the world was knowing what they were getting themselves into, what wonderful TV show awaited for them. So, as you all know, I'm guessing that you have all seen the show. We all know it's about 48 strangers who survived on Oceanic Flight 815 going from Australia to LA. Well, they didn't really quite get to their destination. They crash on a mysterious island in the middle of the South Pacific. At first, the island seems normal, right? Everything seems normal, but our survivors soon realize that things aren't as they seem. There's something weird going on this island. Let's go on, let's get into some characters real quick. Let's get into some favorites. We'll get into Jack, we'll get into Sawyer, Kate, Saeed, Hurley, Charlie, Claire, Michael, Walt, Jen, Sun, oh god, Rose, Bernard. There's just a bunch of characters that are so likable, and one great thing that was great about this show was that any other shows hadn't done before was that every episode had a flashback, and it focused on one specific character, so you could learn more about this character. You learn more about them, and it was just really neat, and it really made you care for these characters. They didn't seem so one-dimensional, they were three-dimensional. And when a character died, man, it really sucked. I don't think there's been a show today when a character dies where I'm genuinely saddened. Okay, other than Glenn from The Walking Dead, that was kind of hard to watch, but nothing like Lost. When a character died in Lost, it was a huge deal. It hurt. It hurt your heart. It really did. You woke up the next morning thinking, wow, can't believe he's dead or she's dead. So yeah, we'll get into the mysteries of the island. The big first one was the polar bear, right? Yeah, what is a polar bear doing on an island in the South Pacific? That's a little weird. The next one is we find out that there are others on the island, the original inhabitants. We think they're like hillbillies, we think they're these weird, you know, savage people. And then the big one that we find out in season 1 is the Hatch, right? The Hatch is a big deal, guys. Do you remember when that was first there? I remember when the show would always air on a Wednesday night, right? And then Thursday, the next day, me and my mom and my sister would be waiting at the bus stop in the car, and we would always speculate, what is inside the hatch. I remember at one point we thought it was the gateway to hell, because there was that one scene where Walt was telling John, don't open it, whatever you do, don't open it, it's bad, it's bad. And you know, and then it was just like, what is this hatch? That was the big question of the show at that time. And I remember at the very end of season 1, they wanted to blow open the hatch to get all their people inside, right? And everyone's just wanting to see what's inside this hatch. And they finally do blow it open. And of course they trick us. They kind of dangle the carrot right in front of our face, right? And then they just yank it out from us, right? Because the characters look in, John and Jack have the torches, they're looking down, and the camera just descends down into the hatch, into the darkness, and you see like a half-broken ladder, and then it just ends. That's the end of season 1, and you had to wait 9 months to see what is inside that damn hatch. And guys, this is before people could binge watch shows on Netflix. You had to wait 9 months. You have no idea how frustrating it is. I mean, damn, what a good ending, but holy crap. I mean, you've been, for almost half a season, you've been just dying to know what is inside this hatch. What is it? And you think you're gonna find something out, and you don't. It's just frustrating. It's so frustrating, but it's so brilliant at the same time. One other thing about season 1, the ending, was what the hell just happened to Walt. Oh my god, I remember watching this as a child, and they're on the raft and they hear the beep, and it's like, oh, there's another boat out there, and the boat pulls up and the lights on, and like, oh my god, they've been rescued. Holy crap, that's great, that's amazing. And you see, what's his name, Mr. Friendly, he's sitting on the boat, and he said, what you guys doing out here? And Sawyer, Jen, Michael, and Walt are all excited, and they've been rescued, and Mr. Friendly's like, the only thing is, we're gonna have to take the boy. Right? And they're like, what? And they're all confused, and he's like, just give us the boy. And he's like, alright then. And they shut the lights off. Sawyer gets shot. Jen dives in after him. Michael's left with Walt, only to defend him and Walt. They take Walt. It's the others, of course. They drive off Walt. They throw like a bomb on the raft. The raft blows up, and Walt is being, you know, held by 2 guys, and the boat's just taking away, and Michael's left in the water. You don't know what's going on. Is Sawyer dead? Where's Jen? Michael's left in the water. Whoa, no! And it's like, holy crap. What a way to end a season. That's crazy. And another thing I want to add about this show is the music. Michael Giacchino's music, brilliant. I don't think Lost would be Lost without Michael Giacchino. There's no denying. I think everyone can agree. It just wouldn't be the same TV show. Especially the raft launching scene in season 1. It just wouldn't be the same. That music is beautiful. You feel the beautiful moment, and you see the beautiful ocean and the colors. It just wouldn't be the same, and I think everyone can agree. Wouldn't be the same without Michael Giacchino. But then you get to season 2, right? And by far, and let me know what you guys think, I think season 2 by far has the best season opening ever in the entire series. You start up, you don't know who this character is. He's in this weird little like bunker house thing. You don't know exactly what's going on. It's kind of, you think he's in a house at first, and he's playing Mama Cass's Make Your Own Kind of Music. And boy oh boy, after I saw that episode, I was probably in 3rd grade at the time, I couldn't stop listening to that song. Anyways, it's a montage. He's showering, he's working out on a treadmill, he's making smoothies, he's injecting himself with a weird syringe, and then all of a sudden, boom! You hear this big explosion, there's dust coming up, and then the music is all serious, and you find out that a big explosion was from season 1 when they blew open the hatch. You realize, holy shit, that's the person, he's living inside this hatch. That's what the inside of the hatch looks like, and it just gives you even more questions, like, what is it? What are they doing? And you find out it's a computer, and you have to push the Hurley's famous lottery numbers in, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, and if not, a big doomsday will go off. And you find out that Desmond, who lives in the hatch, and Jack Shepherd had a past before the island, and it's just like, wow. what an episode to open up on. Not only we find out more about the hatch, you get to find out what happened to Michael, Sawyer, and Jen. They live. Sawyer just got shot in the shoulder. He pulls the bullet out. They're fine. They wash up to shore. They find Jen. You think that he is captured by the others. For a good episode and a half, you think, oh no, they are captured by the others. You find out, no, it's just the tail section of the plane. That's where we get, those are the survivors. We get introduced to Mr. Echo, Bernard, Ana Lucia, Libby. We get introduced to all those characters. They end up making their way back to the main part of the island where the rest of the survivors are. So throughout Season 2, we start to learn what this Dharma Initiative is, what this hatch is all about. We get introduced to Henry Gale, who we later find out is Ben. He's the main leader of the others, so we get to learn more about this stuff. Michael ends up working for the others. He wants to get Jack, Kate, Sawyer, and Hurley all together in exchange for his son Walt. And that's what happens in the end of Season 2. They make an exchange and Michael and Walt are free to go on a boat onto their merry way off the island. John wanted to push the button so badly. He was the guardian of the button. He was always going to push that button. Later on in the season, he just says, screw it. I don't want nothing more of that button. It's just a waste of time. It's nothing. Nothing's going to happen. So originally, Jack was that in that case. Jack's always like, nothing is going to happen. Let the time thing go down to 0. And then John eventually becomes Jack, and who takes John's spot is Mr. Echo. It was just, it's crazy, and we finally do get to see what happens when the time goes down to 0. It's just a huge electromagnetism mess. Things get sucked in, the whole hatch implodes, and we find out Desmond, realizes he was the one responsible for the plane crash. September 22nd, he didn't push the button in time, and that's what caused their plane to crash on the island. But again, this show, just the reveals it makes, the way they leave off each season is almost every episode, and not to mention the seasons, every episode makes you just want to watch the next one. You have to see what happens. First 3 seasons of Lost are solid by far. Those are the best 3 seasons. I think what happened is Season 4 and Season 5 is where it kind of dipped a little. And I'm a huge Lost fan, but I can admit that it had its weaknesses and its problems, and I think Season 4 and 5 is where people kind of stopped watching, because then you get involved with time travel, and that kind of got weird. It didn't really feel like Lost anymore. Now remember, to me, it didn't matter. I was like still in elementary and going into middle school by the time Season 4 and 5 came along, so I still loved it. But yeah, it did feel kind of a little far removed from Seasons 1 through 3. But I still loved it, and I think a true Lost fan still love it, but still can acknowledge that, yeah, it's a little weird. One cool thing that the end of Season 3 did, we always had flashbacks, right? Seasons 1, 2, and 3 always had the flashbacks. Well, they decided to switch it up on us. I think you guys know what I'm talking about, was when they had Jack's so-called flashback when he was supposedly a drunk and a drug addict, and he had the beard, and we thought, when did this happen in Jack's life? This happened before what the hell's going on? He lost his license as a surgeon, and then you realize that he meets up at the airport with Kate, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And you realize, holy shit, they got off the island. This takes place after they got off the island. The flash forward, and that's when the Oceanic 6 came in. That was pretty neat. I will give Season 4 that, seeing them, live outside life after the island incident. But it does, again, it gets weird though. When they try to get back to the island, this is when the show just really gets weird. Trying to get John Locke. John Locke died. They have to get his body back on the plane. They have to take something from Jack's father, Christian Shepherd, and put it on John. It ends up being his shoes in order for the ritual to work, to get through this time pocket to get back on the island. It just gets weird. They end up going back in the 70s, the people who stayed on the island, so like people like Juliet, Sawyer, Jen, they end up going back in time into the 70s, and they're in the Dharma Initiative, and then Jack and them come back on the island after 3 years of being off of it, and they get this brilliant, Jack gets this idea that the hatch is being constructed back in the 70s. If we destroy it with a nuclear core, it will blow up the hatch and it'll stop the hatch from ever being built, which will make our plane never crash. It'll stop our plane from crashing. And they do it, and what I think happens is when that happens, that creates the flash sideways. So we're getting into Star Trek territory. It created a separate timeline. Let me know what you guys think. You guys could completely disagree with me. Let me know, because I'm interested. I seriously think, though, when they dropped the core down into the hatch to stop, the hatch from ever being built, it created the alternate timeline. But as I mentioned before, the deaths are so sad when characters die off. I think one of the hardest deaths to watch was Charlie. I think we can all agree Charlie was the hardest character to watch. I even got upset when Boone died. I don't know what you guys thought of Boone, but when Boone died, that was kind of upsetting. That was the first major character death we got. And then Shannon and Ana Lucia and Libby, that was pretty hard too. That was a double whammy. But Charlie was by far one of the hardest. I think if Hurley were to die in the show, boo, that would take the cake. But Charlie, that was a hard death to watch, not Penny's boat. So we get into season 6, and this is where the flash sideways happens. Season 6, I feel like, is where it got back into its original roots of seasons 1 and 2 mainly season 1. It kind of got back, it got away from the sci-fi aspect and the time travel, Star Trek kind of stuff, back into the mystical stuff. But yeah, season 6 was a big deal because we all knew that season 6 was going to be the last season of Lost ever. They made that clear. And we open up with season 6 and find out about this flash sideways, and it's crazy at first, because at first you're like, holy shit, it worked. Jack was right, they didn't crash. And then you realize, and you see the island underwater. Do you remember that scene where you see the foot statue underwater? It's like the island's sunken under the water. It's like, holy crap, it really worked. But then you soon realize, no, you flash back and they're really still on the island. So there's the flash sideways life happening and then the real life happening. But season 6 is mainly about one thing, and that is light and dark. And that is man in white, or well, Jacob, and then the man in black. He has no name, and that's the smoke monster. And that's what it's about. Smoke monster wants to get off the island. He's been there for hundreds of years, and Jack and the gang have to stop him. The season finale of Lost, there's never been a season finale that's gotten me quite emotional. I think the one that's gotten pretty close was The Office. But back to Lost. They made a big deal out of this. There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands watching the final episode of Lost. People came back to watch it. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but they would go to commercial break, and there was this Target commercial that were for smoke detectors, and it would show the black smoke going through, and then it went off, and the smoke monster went away. They really went all out. Jimmy Kimmel had his little thing afterwards, but that was a show, especially the last 10 minutes of the last episode of season 6 was so emotional with the music, Michael Giacchino's music again, everyone in the church, everyone hugging each other, everyone who had died previously are back, they're there again, they're alive in this afterlife kind of purgatory thing. Jack walking through the bamboo forest, going back to the original spot where he landed on the island 3 years previously, and he's laying there, and Vincent comes, and it's just so emotional, and the plane going over, and it's just, I teared up, I cried, I did. I was in 7th grade at the time, and I think a lot of people cried, because this is like 6 years of their life. This was a show where I didn't have really anyone to talk about, because I don't think every 2nd grade, 3rd grade, or elementary school kid watched Lost. I would talk to my friends about it. I would try to describe what it was, and they would, listen. The only people I would talk about this show was with my parents, and man, we would really talk about it and theorize and speculate what was going to happen next. But 6 years of my life, this show was a huge influence on me, and when it ended, the next morning, getting ready for school, getting in the shower and just really thinking, wow, it's over. We will never see Lost again. Wow, this show really does hold a special place in my heart, and I think it does for you guys as well who are fans. And let's quickly get into one thing. So, the reason why I think the afterlife was created by the bomb going off, the alternate sideways, flash sideways life, I think something that Christian Shepherd says to Jack Shepherd in the very last episode when they're in the church. Jack says, "What is this place?" And Christian Shepherd says, "Well, this is a place that you guys created together, where you guys can find, you guys can find each other when you die." And Jack says, "I died?" And he's like, "Yeah, you died, and your friends died, some before you, some long after. So whenever you die in the show, you automatically end up on Oceanic 815 again, but in the flash sideways, until you're basically that's like purgatory. So the island's not purgatory, but that flash sideways purgatory until everyone finds each other, and then when they open the church doors, they can go into the light, and that's heaven." That's what I think what the ending of Lost was. The island was real. It happened. That all happened. But yeah, what a show. There's never been a show like it. I don't think there ever really will be. Alright guys, so that was my review on the series of Lost. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you stuck around through this, thank you. I know it's a long video. I had to fit a lot in here. I didn't want to really do a whole synopsis on the show, because that would just get really confusing, and I don't think I could keep up with it. I don't think you guys could keep up with it either. But I just wanted to let you know what my thoughts on it, and how much it impacted me and how much it meant to me. Guys, if you like this, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite season was, what your favorite season opening was, what your favorite season ending was, what your favorite saddest character death was. Just let me know what you guys thought of the show. And guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a share, subscribe to the channel, and follow me at Sprec on Twitter. Alright guys, that's all I got for you today. See you later.